Lily Thompson led a life filled with routines that many might consider mundane. At 25, she worked as a waitress at Sonny's Diner, a cozy eatery nestled on a busy street in a bustling American city. While she wasn't wealthy, Lily was rich in kindness. Her warm smile welcomed every customer, from the cranky elderly man who always ordered black coffee to the young family with 3 energetic kids who spilled more food than they ate. Life hadn't been easy for Lily. After losing her parents as a teenager, she took on the responsibility of caring for her younger brother, Max, who was now 19 and attending college on a partial scholarship. The bills piled up, but Lily took pride in making ends meet, even if it meant long hours on her feet. She never complained, knowing her sacrifices were helping Max build a brighter future. Sonny's Diner had its own charm, with the aroma of freshly brewed coffee mingling with the scent of fluffy pancakes creating a welcoming atmosphere. The walls were adorned with faded photographs of the diner's glory days, and a vintage jukebox in the corner played soft tunes that transported patrons to simpler times. Lily loved working there, even if Mr. Harris, the diner's owner, was difficult to please. A stern man in his 50s, he cared more about profits than the warmth the diner brought to the community. One chilly November morning, Lily noticed a homeless man sitting outside the diner. He slumped against the brick wall, his worn coat barely shielding him from the biting wind. His face was gaunt, and his hands trembled as he clutched a cardboard sign that simply read, "Hungry and cold. Please help." Lily's heart sank. She had seen homeless people before, but something about this man struck her differently. As the breakfast rush began, Lily busied herself with orders, darting between tables and refilling coffee cups. Yet, her eyes kept drifting toward the man outside. Customers came and went, some sparing him a glance, while others avoided his gaze altogether. She felt an overwhelming urge to do something. When the diner quieted around noon, Lily seized the opportunity to approach the kitchen. "Hey, Carlos," she said to the chef, a burly man with a kind smile. "Can I take this plate of eggs and toast out to someone?" Carlos raised an eyebrow. "To who?" "There's a man outside. He looks like he hasn't eaten in days." Carlos sighed but nodded. "All right, just be quick about it." Balancing the plate carefully, Lily slipped outside. The cold air hit her, making her shiver, but she knelt beside the man. "Hi," she said softly, holding out the plate. "I brought you something to eat." The man looked up, his eyes filled with gratitude and disbelief. "Are you sure?" "I don't have any money." Lily smiled warmly. "It's on me. You need it more than we do." He took the plate with trembling hands. "Thank you," he whispered. "I'm Jack." "Nice to meet you, Jack." "I'm Lily." She watched him take his first bite, the relief on his face making her forget the risks she was taking. Inside the diner, however, Mr. Harris had been watching. His sharp eyes caught sight of Lily outside, and his lips pressed into a thin line. When Lily returned, Mr. Harris was waiting for her near the counter. "Lily," he barked. "What do you think you're doing?" She froze, the smile fading. "I was just giving away food that isn't yours to give," he snapped. "Do you think this is a charity? We have rules here, and you just broke them." Lily tried to explain, her voice steady. "He's starving, Mr. Harris. I couldn't just ignore him. This isn't about what you think is right. It's about running a business. If you can't follow the rules, you have no place here." The words hit her like a punch. "You're firing me?" she asked, trembling. "Yes," he said coldly. "Pack up your things and leave." Stunned, Lily glanced at Jack outside, who was still eating, oblivious to the turmoil inside. She didn't regret helping him, but the consequences felt overwhelming. As she walked out for the last time, a mix of anger, sadness, and uncertainty washed over her. She had no idea how she would pay her bills or support Max. All she knew was that she had done the right thing, even if it cost her everything. Stepping into the cold air, Lily clutched her thin coat tighter. The weight of her dismissal pressed heavily on her chest, but she forced herself to keep walking. As she passed Jack, he looked up with a faint smile. "Thank you again," he said, his voice sincere. "That meal meant more than I can say." Lily smiled back, trying to hide her turmoil. "Everyone deserves a little kindness." "Did you get in trouble for this?" he asked. She paused, debating whether to tell the truth. "Don't worry about it. You needed it more than the diner did." As she bid Jack farewell, she felt a sense of unease mixed with hope. Her act of kindness had set something in motion, something she couldn't yet understand. Back at her small apartment, she found Max at the kitchen table, surrounded by textbooks. He looked up, surprised to see her home early. "Hey, what's going on? Did your shift end early?" Lily hesitated, then sat down across from him. I got fired." Max's eyes widened. "What? Why?" She explained the incident at the diner, from feeding Jack to the argument with Mr. Harris. Max listened, his face shifting between disbelief and frustration. "That's ridiculous. You were just helping someone. How can they fire you for that?" "Rules are rules, I guess," Lily shrugged. "But honestly, I'd do it again. He needed that meal more than anyone else." "What are we going to do now?" Max asked. "I can try to get a part-time job or—" "No," Lily interrupted firmly. "Your job is to focus on school. I'll figure something out. I always do." Though her words were confident, deep down she was scared. Bills were due soon, and without her income, they'd barely scrape by. Meanwhile, Jack lingered outside the diner, feeling guilty for Lily's firing. For the first time in a long while, he prayed for a way to repay her kindness. As he sat there, a black luxury car pulled up in front of the diner. A man stepped out, dressed in an expensive suit and exuding an air of authority. He had observed the commotion at the diner earlier and was curious. Approaching Jack, he crouched down. "Excuse me," he said calmly. "I couldn't help but notice what happened earlier. Can you tell me more about the young woman who helped you?" "Lily?" Jack replied, startled. "Yes," the man said. "She seemed different, genuine. I'd like to know more about her." Jack hesitated, unsure if he could trust this stranger. But the man's demeanor felt sincere. "She's a waitress." "Well, she was. She gave me a hot meal when no one else looked my way. And because of that, she lost her job." The man nodded thoughtfully. "Where does she live? Why do you want to know?" "Let's just say I might be able to help her." Back at Lily's apartment, she sat by the window, gazing out at the city lights, her mind racing with worries about finding another job, paying rent, and keeping Max in school. A knock at the door interrupted her thoughts. She opened it cautiously to find a man she didn't recognize, dressed in a tailored suit and holding a business card. "Lily Thompson?" he asked. "Yes," she replied, unsure of who he was. "My name is Mr. Davis," he said, handing her his card. "I believe we have something to discuss." Lily blinked in confusion. "Do I know you?" "Not yet, but I know you. I saw what you did earlier today. Your compassion is rare, and I believe it's worth rewarding." "Rewarding? What do you mean?" "Let's just say I might have an opportunity for you," Mr. Davis replied. Lily invited him inside, still unsure of the situation. Max glanced up from the table, protective instincts kicking in. "Lily," he called softly, concern in his voice. "It's okay," she assured him, gesturing for Mr. Davis to sit. "I witnessed what happened at Sunny's diner today. You helped that man despite knowing it could cost you your job. That's rare. Most people would have walked away." Lily shifted uncomfortably. I just did what anyone should do. It wasn't some grand act. Perhaps, Mr. Davis replied, but it was something that stood out to me. I believe people like you, kind, selfless, and brave, deserve a chance to do more. Lily frowned slightly. What exactly are you saying? I run a chain of businesses, including restaurants. I'm always looking for individuals who bring not just skill, but heart to their work. I'd like to offer you a position in one of my establishments. Lily blinked in surprise. You don't even know me. That's true, he admitted, but I trust what I've seen and heard. You acted with integrity today. Those traits are more valuable than any resume. Max finally spoke up. This sounds too good to be true. How do we know you're legit? Mr. Davis smiled faintly and handed Max a second business card. You can look me up. Davis Enterprises isn't exactly a secret. I understand your skepticism. It's healthy, but my offer is genuine. Lily glanced at Max, who gave her a small nod. What kind of job are we talking about? She asked. Assistant manager at one of my restaurants, Mr. Davis replied. It's a step up from waitressing with better pay and benefits. You'd oversee operations, handle customer relations, and work closely with the staff. I think you're more than capable of handling it. Lily hesitated. It sounded like a dream opportunity, but it also felt overwhelming. Could she handle the responsibility? And could she trust this man? I'll need some time to think about it, she said finally. Of course, Mr. Davis replied, standing up. Take all the time you need. My contact information is on the card. Call me when you've made your decision. As he left, Lily felt a strange mix of hope and doubt. Max looked at her with a grin. Lily, this could be huge. You have to at least consider it. I know, she said softly. It's just a lot to process. What if I'm not ready for something like this? Lily, you've been managing this household by yourself for years. If anyone can do this, it's you. His words gave her a small boost of confidence, but the fear of failure lingered. She decided to sleep on it, hoping clarity would come with the morning. Meanwhile, Jack sat on the same corner where Lily had found him, replaying the day's events in his mind. He still felt guilty knowing she had been fired because of him. As the sun began to set, he spotted a group of teenagers walking by, laughing but glancing at him with mockery. Hey, look at this guy, one sneered. Bet he's just another bum who doesn't want to work. Jack tried to ignore them, but the words stung. He thought about his past life as an accountant, living modestly and spending weekends with family. It had all unraveled after losing his job, and the spiral had been too steep to climb out of. Eventually, the group moved on, leaving him with his thoughts. He resolved to make things right, not just for himself but for Lily. She had given him hope when he had none, and he wouldn't let her sacrifice go to waste. The next day, Lily woke early, determined to clear her mind. While walking near the diner, she spotted Jack deep in thought. Jack, she called out, walking over to him. Lily, he said, looking up with a faint smile. I didn't think I'd see you again. I wanted to check on you, she replied, sitting beside him. How are you holding up? Better, thanks to you, he said. But I've been thinking, I can't let you lose your job because of me. I need to make it right. You don't owe me anything, Lily said firmly. I did what I thought was right, and I don't regret it. But I do, Jack insisted, his voice filled with emotion. You gave me more than food. You gave me dignity, and I want to repay you for that. Promise me you won't give up on yourself. I promise, he said, his eyes brimming with determination. As they spoke, Mr. Davis observed them from his car, convinced more than ever that Lily was someone special. Lily spent the day reflecting on Mr. Davis's offer. It felt like a lifeline thrown to her in a stormy sea, but doubts tugged at her. That evening, she and Max shared a modest dinner of pasta. Max broke the silence first. "Have you decided yet?" Lily shook her head. "It's a big risk, Max. What if I mess up? This isn't just waitressing anymore. It's managing people. Lily, you've been doing more than managing for years. You've kept this family together. You've sacrificed so much for me. Now it's time for you to take a chance for yourself. You've earned this." Her brother's words struck a chord. She realized she couldn't let fear hold her back. With a deep breath, she picked up Mr. Davis's card and dialed his number. The next morning, she found herself in the sleek offices of Davis Enterprises. Mr. Davis greeted her warmly and showed her around the restaurant he had in mind, Maple Leaf Cafe. It was larger and more polished than Sunny's diner, but it still had a warm vibe Lily immediately liked. "This will be your base," Mr. Davis explained. "It won't be easy at first, but I believe you'll adapt quickly. The staff will look to you for guidance, and I'll be here to support you." Lily nodded, her nervous flutter slowly giving way to excitement. "I'll do my best," she promised. The first few weeks were a whirlwind. Lily immersed herself in learning everything about managing the cafe. Challenges arose: difficult customers, skeptical employees, and managing inventory, but she tackled each issue with determination. One evening, as she closed up the cafe, she reflected on how much had changed. She felt proud of herself, though she couldn't shake thoughts of Jack. She hadn't seen him since their last conversation and hoped he was okay. Meanwhile, Jack had begun his own transformation. True to his promise, he found a temporary job as a janitor at a community center. It wasn't much, but it was a start. The people at the center treated him with kindness, helping him rebuild his confidence. One afternoon, while cleaning the lobby, he overheard about a job fair happening nearby. Encouraged by co-workers, he decided to attend. With saved money, he bought a second-hand suit and polished it as best as he could. At the job fair, Jack felt nervous but determined. He approached booths, handing out his resume and explaining his experience. One employer, a small accounting firm, took interest in his story and offered him an interview. A week later, he got the job, entry-level, but a turning point in his life. He saved enough to rent a small room and began volunteering at the community center, wanting to give back to the place that had helped him. But he never forgot Lily. He often thought of her and wondered how she was doing. One Friday evening, while closing the cafe, Lily heard a familiar voice. "Lily." Turning around, she saw Jack standing in the doorway, looking healthier and more put together than ever. "Jack," she exclaimed. "It's so good to see you. How are you?" "I'm doing much better," he said with a smile. "And it's all thanks to you. I wanted to find you sooner, but I had to get my life back on track first." Lily was thrilled to hear his story. They sat down, and Jack shared everything: the community center, the job fair, and his new position at the accounting firm. "You inspired me, Lily," he said. "You believed in me when no one else did. I can never thank you enough for that. You did the hard work, Jack. I just gave you a little push." As they talked, Mr. Davis walked in, having stopped by to check on the cafe. He recognized Jack from the diner incident and was pleasantly surprised to see him doing well. The three shared a heartfelt conversation, and by the end of the evening, Mr. Davis offered Jack a part-time role at Davis Enterprises, helping with community outreach programs. Jack accepted gratefully, seeing it as another opportunity to grow and help others. Months passed, and life took a positive turn for both Lily and Jack. Lily thrived as assistant manager, earning the respect of her staff and implementing initiatives to support the local community. Jack balanced his accounting job with his part-time role at Davis Enterprises, using his story to inspire others. On a sunny afternoon, Lily and Jack stood outside Maple Leaf Cafe, watching volunteers distribute meals to the homeless, a program Lily had started with Mr. Davis's support. "You've come a long way," Jack said, smiling at Lily. "So have you," she replied. "I guess we both needed a little push." They shared a laugh, knowing how far they'd come since that fateful day at Sunny's diner. As the sun set, Lily felt a deep sense of fulfillment. Her journey had been anything but easy, but it had led her to this moment, a life filled with purpose, surrounded by people who cared. And she wouldn't trade it for anything.